What's your childhood mystery that you finally solved years later? When I was 8, my dad had this weird rule about the garage. We weren't allowed in there after dark, ever. He said it was dangerous because of the tools and chemicals, but something about how he said it made me not believe him. Every night at exactly 10 p.m., I'd hear him go out there. The garage door would creak open, then silence for about an hour. Then he'd come back inside. I tried asking Mom about it once. She just looked away and said Dad needed his alone time. But kids notice things adults think they don't. Like how Dad's hands were always dusty when he came back, or how he'd sometimes have tiny cuts on his fingers, or how he'd smell like sawdust mixed with something else I couldn't name. One night when I was 11, I decided to peek. I waited until I heard the garage door close, then snuck to the window. But the windows were covered with black paper from the inside. I could see light coming from underneath, shadows moving, and hear this steady scraping sound, like sandpaper on wood, over and over. I got brave and tried the side door once. Locked. I checked under the workbench outside for a spare key. Nothing. I even climbed on the AC unit to look through a crack in the roof. All I could see was Dad hunched over something, his back to me, working with his hands. This went on for years, every single night, even Christmas, even when he was sick, even the night Grandma died and we got the call at dinner. He still went to the garage at 10 p.m. by high school. I'd given up trying to figure it out. I had other things to worry about. Friends, grades, girls. The garage mystery became just another weird thing about Dad, like how he always wore the same blue flannel on Sundays or never ate mayo. I left for college at 18, got a degree, got a job, got married, visited home maybe twice a year. Dad was still going to the garage every night. Mom would just shrug when I brought it up. Some things never change. Then last year, Dad had a heart attack. It was bad. He survived, but barely. The doctor said he needed to take it easy. No stress, no physical work. Mom called me crying, saying Dad was depressed because he couldn't go to the garage anymore. I flew home to help out. One afternoon while Dad was napping, I found his keychain on the kitchen counter. There it was, a small brass key I'd never noticed before. My hands were shaking as I walked to the garage. The lock clicked open. I pushed the door and stepped inside. What I saw made me freeze. The walls were covered, floor to ceiling, with wooden dolls, hundreds of them, all different sizes, different faces, different clothes, each one carved by hand with incredible detail. Some were dancing, some sitting, some playing instruments, but that wasn't the part that made me cry. In the center of the garage was a workbench. On it was a half-finished doll. It was a little boy, about 8 years old, wearing a backwards baseball cap and holding a toy airplane. It was me, the same age I was when Dad started going to the garage. I found a notebook on the bench. Inside were pages and pages of notes. Each doll had a date and a name. Mary from the grocery store who always smiled. Bob from work who got laid off. Mrs. Chen who lost her husband. Every doll was someone from our town who was going through a hard time. At the bottom of each entry, Dad had written the same thing, delivered. I asked Mom about it that night. She finally told me the truth. Dad had been secretly making these dolls and leaving them on people's doorsteps when they needed them most. No note, no explanation. Just a small wooden figure that looked like them or their loved one, doing something that made them happy. She showed me letters people had written to the local paper over the years, about mysterious dolls that appeared right when they needed hope, how they treasured them, how they felt seen. Dad never wanted credit, never wanted thanks. He just spent every night for 30 years in that garage, carving comfort for strangers. The doll of me was the only one he never finished. Mom said he started it the night I told him I was too old to play catch. He'd been adding to it ever since, changing it as I grew up, waiting for the right moment to give it to me. He's too weak to carve now. His hands shake too much. But I go to the garage every night at 10 p.m. I'm not as good as him yet. My dolls are rough, uneven, but I'm learning. Last week I finished my first one. A nurse from the hospital who held Dad's hand during his worst night. I left it on her doorstep this morning. I think Dad would be proud, even if he never says it out loud. I finally understood why we couldn't go in the garage after dark. It wasn't because it was dangerous. It was because some mysteries are better left unsolved. Some magic only works in secret, and some fathers love in ways too beautiful for words.